And without volunteers, there's no blooms. Are you ready?
You guys, are you ready to do this? Let's make some noise.
Let's go! In inland Northwest are still well covered with the fresh powder right now. Putting chains on tires isn't something I learned growing up. To find a falcon like this guy, so they can respond to emergency situation as quickly as possible.
The sun is out and it's time to plant.
Like the one fire yesterday, West Hallett fire was 13 minutes. What they're doing right now is they're changing the battery on this collar. Take a look at this. Hundreds of unclaimed luggage is left at baggage claim at Denver International Airport. It will take days or even weeks to get this luggage reunited with Southwest passengers. And take a look at this down below here. This is so much covered with the snow right now. You know, here at this Ferris High School, Trey's night, and a lot of excitement going on right now. This used to be the bedroom right behind me, and you can see the burnt mattress right there on the one side, and then on the other side you can see the dryer and washer just completely gone. You can still see the crime scene tape surrounding the apartment complex right now. Now, it was a devastating night for many who live in this neighborhood. This incident happened in the broad daylight when many families and kids were walking outside on the streets.
Peter, what did these families tell you?
Well, they were very emotional conversation and sharing their heartbreaking stories about losing a child over fentanyl. Now, family members are trying to spread awareness that fentanyl is deadly and hurting our community. Yeah, that's right, Kirsten. We saw multiple aircraft flying above, making drops on this fire. And this is a very important role for this particular fire because the DNR said that some of the burning areas are very steep, making it difficult for the crews to handle this fire. I spoke with David Henkel tonight, who lost his home in this fire. And this is one of many, and he's one of many who had to go through this tragedy.
Your emotions are... As the days go on, you know, it's getting better. You sleep at night thinking, what do I do next?
Walking through now burned piles, Dave Henkel says, can't believe this is the reality now.
And this was a deck, or not a deck, but a porch here. It had an overhang on it.
Last Friday, the wildfire completely wiped out everything he owned for years.
You know, people will ask you questions. Oh yeah, I got that, and then your brain goes, whoop, no, you don't. Everything's gone.
As walking down to where the garage was used to be,
you know, I'm a mechanic, so
Henkel showed a burned card.
This is a 47 Chevy.
To him, he says it was more than just a car.
And it was, give me a minute. Me and my brothers.
Years of memories that he still remembers.
Me and my brothers and my dad built that car for my dad, and he passed away, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago from Lou Gehrig's. So then my mom had it, and she passed away 2 years ago. So I ended up with it.
Henkel says it's overwhelming to face this tragedy, but he stays hopeful.
All Chevy, big block, you know, it's a small block 350, so.
And just like the way he built a car for his dad, he will restart from the beginning.
Probably rebuild. We're going to start with the shop first, I think.
And here at Country Church of Open Bible is providing meals and a place to sleep, place to sleep overnight. And so if you're watching this right now, resources are available for you at this site. Of course, we'll keep you updated on this fire here and online on our website, kxly.com. Live in Elk, Peter Choi, 40 News Now.
I understand you were a freshman back at SPU, and the man who was killed was one of your friends.
That's right. When I moved to Seattle from South Korea back in 2013 to attend the Seattle Pacific University, gun violence was literally so foreign to me, and I think it was almost non-existent in Korea too. And the trauma of a mass shooting, it was completely unheard of. And the campus shooting in the summer of 2014, made me rethink all that.
My bias would be I want more of us to do that and ask what can we do to contribute to a world that doesn't feel quite so ugly and destructive.
It was conversation like this with peers that helped me through my experience at SPU. On June 5th of 2014, the shooter at SPU was armed with a knife and a shotgun. As he entered the science, math, and engineering building, he shot 3 people, taking away a 20-year-old man, one of my earliest classmates and friends. Although I was 2 blocks away from the shooting took place, I find myself profoundly affected. The sound of helicopters flying above and the sound of sirens going off still brings me back to the day of tragedy.
But let's unpack that and take a look at what's really true. What is my environment? What's the situation around me? And what can I do to take care of myself?
The trauma of Uvalde is without borders. It extends especially to kids elsewhere.
Question is, how do you approach that conversation? You talked about don't explain too much detail about it and things like that. How do you approach that conversation?
I would be led by their questions. They're likely to have questions, so answer those questions. And anything sort of soliciting kind of, what's that been like for you, and what are you and your friends talking about? To see kind of different angles about what their concerns might be.
What about kids who are older, from high school and college? Is the conversation still important to talk about within the family?
I don't think it's any less important as someone gets older. Coming together and supporting each other as we ask those questions, and trying to answer those questions, like I say, can be really empowering.
For parents, what should they do moving forward?
That right now, it's on people's minds. Every morning, as students heading to school, it makes sense to have a very deliberate check-in and to go over safety procedures and just see how they're doing.
The gunman at SPU was sentenced to 112 years in prison. To this date, talking to friends and parents about my feelings still helps me realize that what I'm going through is normal, and I'm not alone in this.
And Peter, that experience for you was 8 years ago now, and then you see certain circumstances like this happening just days ago. How does that make you feel now?
I'll be honest with you, I had a doubt, if I'm willing to put my kids, at schools in states. But one thing I learned from the incident was that, this is reality in states, and it's important to step back and ask ourselves, how are we doing? And also important to talk about your feelings with professionals or peers.
Peter.
She tells me this tragedy all started from a toxic relationship with a man Martinson loved for 7 years.
Brutal and cold. It's just hard for me.
It's a tragedy that is still hard to wrap your head around.
No matter what she was going through, she just always put a smile on her face.
Alicia Garbreth says her cousin Janelle was always generous. She loved being a mother and grandmother.
She was very, very generous, sometimes maybe too generous. She loved people.
The last time Alicia saw her cousin was when Martinson told her about camping trip. On December 14th, Martinson was found dead. Her body dumped off South Madison Road near Valley Ford. According to court documents, Martinson's murder was discovered during the investigation into the murder of her ex-boyfriend Colton Wood Russell and Kiara Morgan Wieland. The suspect in those murders told investigators that Russell had killed Martinson and threatened to kill him if he didn't help move her body. Garbreth says Martinson was a domestic violence victim at the hands of Russell.
He had already beat her up before multiple times.
She says Martinson depended on Russell for illegal drug use.
Unfortunately, Janelle was, and I think that was a lot of the reason why Janelle kept going back.
The Spokane County medical examiner says the cause of her death is pending.
She's up there with all our other loved ones that are up there and just looking down on us.
Now, as for murder suspect Brandon Kennedy, he's being held on a $1 million bond. He's charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. In studio tonight, Peter Choi, 4 News Now. 4 hounds and crews were chasing down a cougar at Riverside State Park on Tuesday. Bart George with Kalispell Natural Resources is patiently watching the cat climb up on the tree.
So take a look at this behind me. So the cougar is right up in the tree right now, but he's way too high up there. So we're waiting for him to come down and move to the lower tree for his safety.
George says the cougar study started 3 years ago because of many serious cougar attacks in the past.
So we're trying to find a way to help cougars and people coexist and use this park safely.
So what they're doing right now is they're changing the battery on this collar and also checking his health, make sure he's okay.
This is how the study works. The team puts a collar on the cougar. The cougar will listen to human voices and dogs through a speaker. Then we'll study the cougar behavior for weeks.
What we're trying to do is we want them to have a negative association with human voices. So when they hear people, they're looking to get out of the way, get to cover, stay away from people.
We removed a lot of cougars, and that's a lot in the Tri-County area, including Spokane and Lincoln counties.
Tony Leonati with Fish and Wildlife says the project has helped the department already.
We've been able to use this project as a tool, a non-lethal tool, to really help with the response to these incidents and show to the residents and people that cats can live amongst us.
The Kalispell Natural Resources says it plans to complete the project by next March.
We want to publish this information and get it out so that state managers have it available and hopefully utilize that.
Reporting from Riverside State Park, Peter Choi, 4 News Now.